Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about this whole idea that people have that because they have used something as part of their training or as one of their tools and they got results that it somehow worked. And I think people really need to analyze this a little more critically, and we need to be a little more honest with ourselves about what actually works and doesn't work, and how we really go about determining that. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And here's what I mean by that. And I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. In other words, if there's something you really, really, really enjoy doing in the gym, and it's been part of what you've done, and you've been doing it for 3 or 5 years, and you're happy with the results, and you really enjoy doing it, I don't care how ridiculous someone else might think what it is that you're doing is. If it's safe, it's not hurting you, and you're getting results while doing it, and you genuinely enjoy it, that's fine. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would say it'd probably be a good idea to keep doing that. And I think most of us would agree with that. But the problem is that when people enjoy doing something a certain way, whether it actually is relevant to their success or not, they tend to tell people that, hey, this is because this is what I did and it worked for me, you should do this. When what the factor that they're talking about might not even be a factor. And it could be anything from whether you're choosing to do continual tension, which if you're doing it as partials, no, it can't stimulate maximum growth. You're leaving gains on the table. And the evidence for that's pretty overwhelming. You're losing a few percentages of your gains by doing constant tension if you're skipping the ends of the range of motion. That's just reality. Again, it's basic human physiology should tell you that, but you could still make really good gains doing it, because if you've made 95% of your maximum possible gains, that's going to be really, really good, right? Most people don't even reach 90% of their maximum potential. So if you're only losing 5% by doing something silly, hey, that's still pretty good. Or rep ranges and things like that, because I had someone say in the comments today, well, high reps work for me. It's like, well, no, it didn't. Training worked for you. It wasn't high reps, and I define high reps as anything over about 8. For me, I consider anything over 8 to be high reps. High reps, you might be 15 or 20. But the whole point is, it's not the fact that you used high reps that worked for you. It's the fact that you came in and you trained hard with consistency, with good range of motion, with good total training volume. In other words, you trained above your minimum effective volume to stimulate growth, and you probably didn't go over your maximum recoverable volume too often. You probably got enough sleep, you probably got enough food, and you trained hard. You trained hard and consistently, with at least hopefully some sort of game plan, right? And so if that's what you did, that's actually what worked for you. It wasn't the fact that you chose to turn your pinky a certain way on a curl. That's not what helped you gain muscle. It's not the fact that you chose specifically to do 12 rep sets on all these exercises. You think that really matters? And a lot of that comes down to personal preference. I mean, a lot of people will say that and like, well, I think people should do high reps. And I'm like, I think it needs to be based upon preference and goals. If you were to ask me, as someone who doesn't enjoy high reps, I think they're ridiculous. I think they're absurd. I think that they're the most wasteful thing I ever feel like I do in the gym. But that's opinion. That's not based on fact. Because if you were to ask me, scientifically speaking, do high rep sets build really good muscle mass if done correctly? I would say yes, of course they do. But why would you want to do them? It's like, I would find something else I enjoy more of my time doing, other than the health benefits of training, because I love the benefits of training. But if you were to give me a choice between only high reps and at least maintain the health benefits of training, but I couldn't do less than 12 rep sets the rest of my life or not train at all, I wouldn't train. They're boring. They're not fun. They feel like a waste of time to me personally. I don't enjoy them. I don't really enjoy going over about 5. I love singles. I like lifting heavy. I enjoy lifting heavy. I enjoy lifting heavy. The only reason I don't lift heavier more often, which you guys remember that I did the Bulgarian training, is because I can't recover from it. My body can't handle it. If my body could handle it and there was no pain associated with it and no beating myself up, I'd be squatting and deadlifting and overhead pressing to a max every single day happily, right? Every single day. because I enjoy that. That's fun. And to someone else, that's horrific. They don't enjoy that. Someone else really might enjoy 10 rep sets or 15 rep sets. You enjoy that. It's fun for you. And that's a factor here, guys, because that's a lot of what works for us is if we are doing something that it doesn't necessarily have to be pleasurable. We can enjoy something that puts hardship on the body. But what we're talking about here is personal preference. We're talking about an emotional attachment. It has nothing to do with the physiology, because when it comes to gaining muscle, the evidence is pretty conclusive at this point. Assuming workload, quality of reps, volume, everything else is appropriate, 3 rep sets and 10 rep sets build the same amount of muscle mass. All right, there's multiple studies looking at that. That's reality, right? That's reality. So if someone tries to say, "Oh, your rep range, that's how I got results," I'm like, you're basically ignorant if you say that. You're ignorant, because it wasn't the rep range. It was the fact that you got in and trained hard. Now, if you really, really, really enjoy counting to 10 every time you train, it's like you have a hang up on the number 10 or the number 12, and you just love counting to 12 while you lift reps, and that motivates you to train harder and more consistent. That's going to work really, really well, right? You enjoy that because you have something you really like maybe you're obsessed with the number 12 and you just love being able to count to 12 when you bench press or curl or squat. Okay, that's fine. I'm making fun of that a little bit, but you guys see where I'm going. But if that really motivates you, then you're probably going to get better results trying to hit a 12 rep max every single time that you lift instead of lifting heavier. But from a biomechanics perspective, from a muscle fiber recruitment perspective, all of that stuff, it's not superior. You're not going to gain more muscle because you did 12s instead of 4s. All right, you're not going to gain more muscle from that. So that's kind of the interesting thing that we have to look at with all this. It's like, just because what you choose to do and what you enjoy doing, just because you got results doing it, doesn't mean that was the factor that determined it. Some of that is almost as silly as me saying, man, I seemed like I was squatting heavier when I was wearing the red and black singlet instead of the black and white singlet, right? If we were to say something like that, if I were to say something like that, you would think I was a moron, because it's very obvious that the color of the singlet that you're wearing doesn't affect your strength or your results in the gym. The color of your gym clothes doesn't directly impact muscle growth, strength gains, any of that, right? It's not a factor. So why then do we do stuff that we know the evidence shows isn't really a factor? It's just a different style. It's a different style that can produce roughly the same results. And the data is there. Why do we then have people who then jump up and assume that because that's what they use and that's what they enjoy doing, that's what gave them the results? That is almost as absurd of a statement. And it doesn't mean that it got in your way. I mean, because the fact of the matter is, if you enjoy doing it, it helped you with your consistency. And again, you trained hard. You trained with sufficient workloads. You trained with enough quality reps. You ate enough calories. You ate enough protein. You got enough rest and sleep. If you did all these things, that's what gave you the results. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If those other factors were what made you enjoy doing it enough, or it motivated you to do it, then it did help indirectly from a motivation perspective. But it is an important idea what the people understand when you start giving advice to other people, that you understand why what you did worked. Because if it doesn't, and something that you think was really important or you got results doing it was purely a personal psychological enjoyment factor, what's going to happen when you find someone else who doesn't enjoy that and doesn't find it motivating, and you tell them that's the key to their gains because that's what you did? You see the problem there? You're actually going to hurt their progress, because maybe they don't like doing that. Maybe they don't enjoy it. Maybe they're not going to be as consistent doing the thing that motivated you. All right, that's going to be a bad thing. That would be some of the worst advice you could give them. So it's important that we understand when it comes to training why different things work. And it's important for us to understand why different things work for us personally and why they may not work for someone else. We can't be everyone is different. We need to understand how people are different. And that's fine if you're only worried about yourself and you're not going to teach anyone else. You're not going to make a YouTube video. You're never going to give another human being advice. You don't have to know those things. But the moment you're going to give any other human being anywhere on earth a single piece of training advice, you damn well better understand the difference between how people are different and why specifically something worked for you. Was it something physiological or was it motivational? And it's important to understand that. It is important to understand that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.